Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel for this live English lesson. If this is your first time, my name is Jacob from the website jacobteacher.com. I go live on my YouTube channel pretty frequently, so if this is your first time here, maybe hit that subscribe button on my page. Give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing, and yeah, let's get started. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm going to be talking mostly about grammar this lesson. Basically, how I like to do it is to have one lesson on my channel that is kind of grammar heavy, in which I talk more about grammar. So I do one of those every week, and I also try and do another live lesson about something different, something a little more fun than grammar. But with that said, grammar can still be fun too, and I will try and make this grammar lesson fun for you. If you're just starting, if you're just watching this live stream, let me know where you are watching from. Let me just load up the chat window here. Tell me where you're watching from, and please, there will be plenty of opportunities to participate tonight. So lots of participation will be good. Lots and lots of practice. That is how you are going to become fluent as an English speaker. Lots and lots of practice, and there will be plenty of opportunities for you to practice tonight. Okay, we have some regulars returning, it looks like. Kyunga Kim says hello. Hello, Kyunga Kim. Thank you for tuning in again. Din Imeshov from Kyrgyzstan? I don't even know where that is, but Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan? Okay. Din, hello. Thank you for joining. It is a pleasure. Alan is back. I'm living and watching you from Iran. Alan, I'm glad to know that you are living. I am still living too, my friend. So thank you for returning. Now, today, we are going to talk, like I said, about grammar. We're going to talk in particular about something called the superlative form. We're going to be practicing the superlative form. Superlative is something that basically means the highest of something, okay? So tallest, the tallest mountain in Korea. Biggest, the biggest guy at the gym. So smallest, tallest, prettiest, biggest, words like that. We're going to be looking at adjectives in superlative form. Now, let me just switch over to my PowerPoint presentation here. Some of you may recognize this person over here. His name is Michael Jordan, of course, and I have the title, one of the greatest. So great, the adjective in its superlative form, greatest. And you could talk about Michael Jordan. You could say this about Michael Jordan. You could say, Michael Jordan was one of the greatest basketball players of all time. These are the kind of sentences we're going to be practicing today. And this is a really, really, really useful form, okay? I use this formation, this grammatical formation, a lot in spoken English. Likely, if you've been listening to me for a while now, you will have recognized me using this. In fact, if you go back and watch some of my previous videos, you'll probably notice me using this form. One of the most important, one of the greatest, one of the whatever, blah, blah, blah. So that's what we will be talking about tonight. You can do a lot with this form, and I do think once you understand what you need to do, how to use it, it becomes quite easy, and you'll be able to say a lot in English. So let's take a look. Here is one of the most important things that you need to know using this form. It is the superlative adjective form, okay? So the most important thing to know is the superlative form of the adjective. let's take a look at some examples, okay? Great. In the previous example, we used great, and that is greatest in its superlative form. And remember, an easy way to remember superlative. Superlative is the highest of something, okay? The most of something. Big becomes biggest. Pretty becomes prettiest. So you could say, she was the prettiest girl I ever saw. The biggest mountain in South Korea is Mount Hallasan. That's where I'm living right now, on Jeju Island. The greatest movie ever was Casino. Who knows? That's one of my favorite movies. Now, for some of the longer adjectives, you have to put most in front of. So important becomes most important. Beautiful becomes most beautiful. You have some irregulars, like good. Good becomes best. So that's an irregular. Now, there are quite a few different rules to remember for changing adjectives into their superlative form. I don't really want to go over all of them tonight. And I would also just say that for a lot of them, you can kind of hear the difference. So most of them are going to end with that est sound, that est sound. For some of the longer adjectives, so if it's longer than 2 syllables, like important, 3 syllables, beautiful, 3 syllables. If it's longer than 2 syllables, you have to add most before. So most important, most beautiful, most understanding. I'm blanking right now on longer ones. Most understanding, most considerate, adjectives like that. And the irregular ones, like good, just remember, memorize them. Good becomes best. Bad becomes worst. So these are the superlative adjectives in their form. Let me just take a look at the chat room. Okay. So we have Din. Welcome to Jacob channel. Thank you, Din. Kyunga, nice to meet you. Kyunga says, when should I put most? And then she says, I got it. Okay, so that's what exactly. You want to put most when an adjective is longer than 2 syllables. So most understanding, most considerate, most important, most beautiful. That's a lot to remember. So let's look at some examples here. Okay. Now, this man, some of you might know, this is Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates, you could say that Bill Gates is the richest man in the world. This is true. Bill Gates, right now, is the richest man in the world. He has a lot and a lot of money. So you can form a sentence like that, and it works fine. But what if you want to talk about some of these other people? So I put in Warren Buffett, who's a very, very, very rich investor, and Mark Zuckerberg, who some of you probably know as the founder of Facebook. So what if you want to talk about how rich Mark Zuckerberg is, for example? You could say Mark Zuckerberg is the 8th richest person in the world. I think he's the 8th. I'm not sure, but he's very, very rich. Or you could say, more generally speaking, Mark Zuckerberg is one of the richest people in the world. Again, Mark Zuckerberg is one of the richest people in the world. So it's quite an easy form to get once you know what the superlative adjective form is. So Mark Zuckerberg, you add in that one of the richest people in the world. While I'm telling you about, while I'm showing you examples of this grammatical form, Feel free to write your own examples. I'll look at the chat room every once in a while, and I will try and comment on your sentences. I'll try and correct your sentences. But let's look at this sentence a little closer. So Mark Zuckerberg, you have the sentence, is one of the richest people in the world. Now, look very closely here because I think this might confuse some of you. Some of you might make mistakes here. So look at the word people. I have the word people in bold here. And that is because after the adjective, you need a plural noun, okay? You're talking about, in this sentence, everyone in the world, all the people in the world. People is the plural noun of person. It's the plural form of person, right? So you need that plural noun there. Mark Zuckerberg is one of the richest person in the world doesn't sound right. It's a mistake. You need the plural noun. Mark Zuckerberg is one of the richest people in the world. Let's take a look at the chat section here. Hi there, what season in there? I believe this is Grian Lion. If you are asking me what season it is in Korea, it is still spring technically, I believe, but it feels like summer. You can see my face is a little sunburnt. I was playing beach volleyball in the sun last weekend. Here in Korea, it feels like summer. I believe that's what you're asking me. Grian Lion, don't worry, you're so late. There will be lots to practice here. Try your best, and I will try and correct your sentences. Kyunga Kim says, Bill Gates is one of the richest people in the world. Excellent, perfect sentence. Bill Gates is one of the richest people in the world. So he is the richest person in the world. You could also describe him as one of the richest people in the world. Halian says, hi, Jacob, hello. Thanks for stopping by. Jomano, welcome back. Jomano says, hi, everyone. Alan says, the Everest mountain is the highest one in the rest of the world. I think it is the highest spot in the world. I think you're right about that. So when we talk about the Everest mountain, as you put it there, we usually say Mount Everest in English, and is the highest one in the rest of the world. Alan, try and use the form that we're talking about today, one of the highest. So you could say Mount Everest is one of the, when we're talking about mountains, we use tallest. So one of the tallest mountains in the world. Highest is okay too. And Alan says, burning face shows you are much younger, Jacob. I know. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Everyone is talking about my burning face at school today too. In Korea, the students here are not shy about telling you how you look. So if you look really bad, maybe you're not having your best hair day or something, if your hair is messy, the students here will tell you how you look. And when I walked into school today, you should have seen their faces. They were so surprised and shocked. They said, teacher, why is your face so red? So I know it's quite embarrassing. I've been dealing with it all day, and it's a good lesson to put sunscreen on. Anyways, let's move forward. Some of you may know this person. Her name is Ronda Rousey. Now, some of you may be some fighting fans. She had a very interesting career, Ronda Rousey did. At one point, you could say, here is an English idiom that you can learn. Ronda Rousey, at one point in her career, was on top of the world. On top of the world means a few things, but it can mean that someone is really, really excited, feeling amazing, feeling really, really good. You're on top of the world. It can also mean that you are extremely popular, that you are more popular than anyone, on top of the world. So that's what I mean here. In around 2014, Ronda Rousey was on top of the world. She was the champion in her division in the UFC, and she was incredibly popular. She was in movies, doing all sorts of talk shows. She was very, very popular. Many people around 2014, 2015, many people, many websites, they wrote, Ronda Rousey is the best fighter in the UFC. UFC means Ultimate Fighting Championship. It's the league that she fought in. You can see on her gloves, it says UFC. So here's my question for you. Oh, well, actually, let me finish the story first. So she was on top of the world in the UFC, and what happened to her was quite interesting. So she was doing all these movies, very, very popular, and then she got knocked out in one fight. Knocked out in fighting, the phrasal verb knocked out, means when someone hits you and you go unconscious, you go to sleep for a little while. That's knocked out. So she got knocked out, and after that fight, she wasn't the same. She took a long, long break, and she came back, she fought again, but she lost again. She really, her career, it went up like this, and she was on top of the world for a while, and after she lost, it just went down like this. So, here's my question. How would you describe Ronda Rousey right now? If you want to talk about her, how she was as a fighter in the past, try and give me a sentence about her right now. Try and form a sentence talking about her in the past. I'll give you a hint. Think about how I described Michael Jordan when we started this lesson. I'm going to check on the chat room while you type your answers here. Okay. Hellion says, do you like to read books? Jacob Teacher, could you give me some names of books to read when we learn English? Yes, I do like to read books. At the moment, I'm reading a lot of non-fiction, but to answer your question, a really great book to read is Animal Farm by George Orwell. And actually, if you go back, if you'd like to know a little more about George Orwell, I did a live lesson on him, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So if you look on my YouTube channel, I talk about that book in there. It's a really short book, quite easy language, so it should be really great for you to read if you're looking for an English book to read. Okay, Catherine Zeta-Jones, in my opinion, is one of the hottest and sexiest actresses in top of Hollywood movies. Alan, I know exactly what you're saying. Very, very close to perfect. Here's how I would say it. Catherine Zeta-Jones, in my opinion, is one of the hottest and sexiest actresses in... When we're talking about Hollywood, we can just say in Hollywood, and that means in Hollywood, acting like that. So you can just say in Hollywood. It's actually a quite a common phrase to use in English when we're talking about Hollywood. Okay? Kyunga Kim says Ronda Rousey was one of the greatest fighter in the UFC. Kyunga Kim, you are so close to perfect. Remember what I warned you about before. You need the plural noun form. So you're talking about all of the fighters with an S, in the UFC. So you need to use fighters in your sentence. Ronda Rousey was one of the greatest fighters in the UFC. You need that plural noun form there. But that is exactly right. Other than that, I have the sentence written down here. Ronda Rousey was one of the best fighters in the UFC, or Ronda Rousey was one of the greatest fighters in the UFC. Now, we are going to look at a few headlines. Well, actually, one headline from the news this past week and one quote from a famous actor. So let's take a look at that. I have a headline for you. Some of you may know this man. He made the news this past week. He's been making the news for a long time now, but this past week he made the news because he was fired by Donald Trump. It was a big story. Lots to say about it. I won't talk too much about it, or I won't say much about it at all because it's a long story. But this is James Comey, and he was, no longer is, because he was fired this past week. James Comey was the director of the FBI. The FBI, you probably know, they are in charge of security in the United States. They are the biggest for that purpose. So the headline, this is from the newspaper, and it reads, "Who is James Comey? The rise and fall of one of the FBI's most controversial directors." So a lot going on here. Let's talk about it. James Comey. Now, let's look at the word controversial. Controversial is a really great word to know in English. Basically, if something is controversial, it means that it causes a lot of disagreement in the public. So the public disagree a lot about this thing, this controversial thing. So, for example, Eminem, if you know the rapper Eminem is a very controversial rapper. His lyrics, many people are outraged by them. Many people disagree about the stuff that he's saying, and he gets into a lot of trouble. And people argue about who Eminem is, what he says, and lots of stuff like that. He's a controversial rapper. By the way, on this Thursday, if you are here right now watching, this Thursday I'm going to be on my YouTube channel, the exact same time. We're going to be talking about Eminem, the rapper. So I'm really excited about that. He is one of my favorite rappers. And if you can make it to the live lesson on Thursday, that's what I will be talking about. More information will be posted about that on my Facebook page. So if you're not already following me on Facebook, make sure to follow me on Facebook. And yeah, that's the best way to keep in touch, to stay informed about my live lessons. Now, back to this headline. Who is James Comey? The rise and fall. Rise and fall like that. We use this often to talk about someone's career or someone like James Comey. You could talk about Ronda Rousey that way too. The rise and fall of James Comey in this case. Now, look how they're using this grammar. They're changing it a little bit. And that's something that you can do. So you can say, for example, where is it? I had it before. Well, you can use this. This is a jar here with a few things inside. You can say, this is a silly example. One of my best jars. One of my greatest jars. This glass jar here. Okay, so they're talking about James Comey here as property of the FBI. One of the FBI's most controversial directors. I could talk about a coffee shop in the same way. So I could say one of Korea's best coffee shops. Last weekend, I went to one of Korea's best coffee shops. So that's just a slight change to this grammatical formation that we're talking about. And you can see this here. So that is James Comey. Now, let's look at one more quote, and then I have some questions for you. First, let me check on the chat room. I like your live lessons. thank you. And thank you so much for watching my live lessons. That's great. Ronda Rousey was the best in UFC. You could say that too. So that's talking about her in the past. Bader, I'm sorry. And Alan Parker says, I prefer Knockout by her sexiest aspect of her rather than her fist. I have no idea what you mean there, Alan. Maybe try again with that one. I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. So let's look at the quote. Now this is from a famous actress, Helen Mirren, who I really like. She's a great actor. And she says, it's quite a difficult quote, but I think that you will be able to understand it now. Let's take a look. The control and understanding of our personal fears is one of the most important undertakings of our lives. Okay, breathe a little bit. I know that's a difficult one, but we will understand it together. I will explain it, and you will see that it's not so difficult. Let's look at one word. I think that there's only one word here that you may have trouble with, and that is the word undertaking. It sounds like a difficult word, but it's really not. It's quite an easy word. All that an undertaking means is it's something that you do. That's an undertaking. For example, if you're studying English, if you're learning English, that is an undertaking. If you're learning guitar, that is an undertaking. It's something that you are doing. So now that you know what that word means, I want you to read that sentence very carefully. Tell me what you think Helen means, okay? Tell me what you think Helen Mirren means by this quote. I'm curious to know what you think. I'll tell you what I think she means. And while you are waiting, or while you are typing, I have two more personal questions for you. And this is how we will end the lesson today. So I'm going to ask you these questions. I'm going to spend a little bit of time answering your questions, looking at your sentences in the chat room, and then I will say goodbye to you for the evening. So let's take a look. This is my first question for you. What was one of the best nights of your life? One more time. What was one of the best nights of your life? And please try and answer these questions using the form we've been talking about today. Let's practice this form. Again, or a different question, second question. Who are some of the bravest people in history? And why? Why do you think so? Let's look at the first question again. What was one of the best nights of your life? And the second question, who are some of the bravest people in history and why? Those are my questions for you. And again, tell me what you think that actor means by that quote. Okay. Kyung-ha Kim says, fears is made from our mind, so we should control and understand them. Okay, very interesting. Fear is made from our mind, so we should control and understand that. Kyung-ha, do you mean that we should try and control and understand that fear is just made from our mind? That's what you're talking about? And what will happen, let me ask you then, what will happen if we do control and understand that? What will happen, do you think? It's a deep question. We're getting deep and philosophical now. Great. I love this. Okay. Anyone else? If you are watching now, I've just asked you quite a few questions. Let me go back to this quote, and I will tell you what I think about it in a second. So, it looks like the chat room is a little quiet right now, but let me So let me just explain what I think, and I hope that you understand it. So throughout our lives, we go through our lives, and we have to deal with our fears. They confront us all the time, all the way through life. We find that we're scared of things. We're scared to do certain things. We're scared to do a lot of things that we know we should. So I think what Helen is saying here is all throughout our life, we have to control and understand our fears. It's a process. It is an undertaking, something that we do. We have to control and understand our fears. And it's one of the most important things in our life. If we can understand and control, if we know how they are affecting us, how they are informing our decisions, and how they are affecting our thoughts, our behaviors, well, we'll be able to, I don't know about always make the right decisions in life, but we will be able to make maybe wiser decisions. We won't be controlled by our fears. We will be the ones in control. To me, that's what she's talking about with that quote. It's one of the most important undertakings of our lives, one of the most important things we do. Okay? My best night was when I got to the airport and saw my brother. Very good, Nora. The only thing I would say my best night was, so you're talking about the past tense. Now you got to keep the sentence in the past tense. Remember, my best night was when I went to the airport and saw my brother. You could also say got to the airport, but when I went to the airport, past tense, and saw my brother. That's really great. That made me think about how I'm going to see my brother soon. My brother will come visit me from Canada. We are going to go to Japan together in the beginning of June, so I'm very excited about that. And Kyunga Kim, my best night in my life is when I was with person who I love. Okay, very good, Kyunga Kim. Always romantic, always talking about love. My best night, I would say it like this. The best night in my life was when I was with the person who I love, or when I was with someone who I love, like that. Okay? Nothing can stop us to improve our... So let's see what Alan says about the quote. Alan says, nothing can stop us to improve in our life more than our fear in our life. So I know what you're saying, Alan, and I think you are right there. That a lot of the time, what stops us from moving forward in life is our own fear. We're scared of moving forward. Fear holds us back. It prevents us from doing many things that we should do, that we know we should do, that we know would improve our lives. So it's a constant struggle in life. And I think that's what she's talking about here. I think you are right. Very good. Well, we have another romantic here, but I'm sorry I'm pronouncing that wrong again. I'll stick with Bader. Bader says, well, my best night in my life was my wedding night. And I think many people would probably say that too. The best night was their wedding night too. Let me switch back to my camera here. Great. Okay, read mine, please, Bader. Okay, great. And Bader, here's how I would say that naturally. So if we're talking about the best night, one best night, you could say the best night of my life was my wedding night. That sounds the most natural. Kyunga Kim says, one of the bravest person is me because I can face the truth. Face the truth. Fighting for the truth. I know in Korea you can say hoiting. It means fighting, fighting. And I think you can say it in this situation. Kyunga Kim, again, I would say, remember that plural noun form. One of the bravest people. The plural of person is people. One of the bravest people is me because I can face the truth. And I would really agree with you. Facing the truth a lot of the time it's not as easy as it sounds. The older I get, the more I realize this too. It's incredibly hard to be true with yourself, but it is, I agree, to me, one of the most important things in life. I think that is everything. That is all I have time for today. Thank you all so much for participating. Lots of great sentences tonight. I hope you understand how to use this form. It is a very, very commonly used form in English, grammatical form, and you can do a lot with it. So if you have any more questions, if you'd like to add some more, please leave it in the comment section of this video once it's posted to my YouTube channel, and I will try my best to respond quickly. Again, thank you all for participating. Gunbochi said, "Hi, just joining your live video. Can I know when you are teaching now?" Quickly, before I leave, the next live video on this, the next live lesson on this channel will be Thursday, the exact same time, so 8 p.m. Korean Standard Time. And we will be talking about Eminem, one of my favorite rappers, a very controversial rapper. So thank you all so much. If you can be here for Thursday, hit the subscribe button to my channel so that you know when I'm going live. Follow me on Facebook, and you will hear all about when my lessons are and all of my plans. Also, one last thing, I promise, if you haven't signed up for my email list yet, you can do that. I believe I put the link in the description of this video. So download my free ebook, and you will be automatically signed up for my mailing list. I'd highly recommend doing that. That's one of the best ways to keep in touch with me. And I also do private video, I send private video messages to my subscriber list, my website subscriber list, every week. Every Wednesday I send that. So sign up, download my free ebook. That's how you sign up. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure. And I will see all of you, hopefully, on Thursday at the same time. So have a great night, great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are watching from. My name is Jacob from jacobteacher.com. Bye-bye.